All right, so there are a few things that we need to do on finishing up installing this hardtop. First thing is I went ahead and just set these bolts in the holes. Regretfully, the very back corner ones don't seem to line up with the holes that I made in the gasket. For some reason, I tried to put these in and there's no hole there, so I'm gonna have to fix that. This isn't really top related, but this is part of the dash. I need to finish cleaning this up so I can paint it, and then we need to address something else, which is I don't know if it's because of the new gasket or what, but that trim doesn't really line up with my top. It's a little taller, so the holes aren't going to work. So I got these brackets, or not brackets, but clamps that I'm going to install on the top and here, and they will cinch that down. It really doesn't need it, but it's just something to do. And then, so I'll put probably 3 or 4, depends on how this all works out, along there, and we'll call that good, and that will help kind of secure everything. If nothing else, it'll just help keep the gasket from getting worn. I thought I'd put this ratchet strap to see if I could compress that gasket a little bit more, but no, it's pretty thick, so that's an issue. But so we're gonna work on that today. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up those 3 pieces so I can get them painted, and then that way they'll start drying, and then I can put them in here, because like I said, I'm doing the entire interior is going to be black. So the other thing I'll do is be painting the interior part of the roof as well, and the sides we'll just make it all nice and black. Yeah, so we're moving along, and maybe we'll even get the gauges and the speedo and tack and everything back in place today. I still need to put the heater control back together so I can put it back in the hole. I got to run all the cables. Oops, I just dropped part of this. All right, so leave that there for now. All right, so let me get cleaning, then while the paint's drying, I'll put in those back corners and start securing those clamps. But everything else seems to line up, and I still do have to do the repairs on the top, but I can do that after. All right, so I washed them up. Here's a nice little before. You can see they're gray. This one is gray and black, but I noticed when I was cleaning this one started out life as tan. This one was always gray. Oh, okay, so there is a light there, or supposed to be. All right, so I'm just gonna hit it with the I'm hitting everything with the same paint. It's just this acrylic enamel flat. Seems to work pretty good. They do make plastic paint, but it doesn't seem to really matter. It doesn't really, all this new paint seems to work about the same. So all right, let's see what it looks like once we're done. Okay, so now that's about 1.5 coats on each. We're letting those dry a little bit so I can move them around, and we'll finish those up shortly. We'll go check on the other piece, see if it's dry. I've already got 2 coats on the smaller piece. That's the piece that goes here. So, all right, looks better already. All right, so I got it in there. What I ended up doing was poking a new hole with my punch, and then taking an actual punch, wherever I laid it. Oh, here it is. Just a metal punch, and then making the hole a little bigger, and then that was able to slip in there. So not too bad. But the other ones all worked. They all lined up. I'm not sure why. I guess maybe while we were sliding it around, maybe we moved the gasket a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting the little backing nuts on there, which are these guys. It came as a kit, I think. What is this? Oh, that's the seal kit. Hardware washer. Oh no, this is, no, I don't know which one that is. But it was like $11-12 on Amazon. All right, so that didn't take but a few minutes. The hardest, again, were these back corners. I just had to get on there. The problem is, with my gimpy hand, it's kind of hard to get in there, and I'm left-handed, so teaching my right hand how to screw things down seemed to be my biggest challenge. And sitting on that while I was sitting inside, because I couldn't reach all of them from outside, so I had to get in. Okay, so paint's dry pretty much. So we'll probably throw one more coat on it just to make sure that we have good coverage, and then we'll let that dry again, and I will find probably the same self-tapping screws I used on the soft top on the white one. I'll use for putting these latches on, and we'll see how that goes. Probably put the the visors back in, just so that I know where I can put these brackets. Unless I could put them under the bracket, at least on the corners. Maybe those holes line up. That'd be cool. All right, so I'm gonna test fit some stuff, and we'll see what we get. Okay, we're sort of in business. So the latch part almost lines up with the window, or with the shade bracket. So if I drill these holes out just a little bit, that should be enough. They'll have to go on top, but I don't think that will be a problem. The biggest issue is will these button heads interfere with the latch closing? That would be my biggest problem. So I'm going to go ahead and drill those out, and that way I should be able to reuse the stock bolts. If not, I do have some more of these self-tappers, and I can just go ahead and make the visors one size bigger. That should be no problem. The only other thing is when we mount, we're going to be mounting into this strip, which is where we want to be anyway. I could have went with a longer latch. I think this is like 1 inch, 0.6 or something like that. They had like 2 inch, but I thought smaller was better, just because I didn't know how much room we were going to have. So I think it'll work. So I'll probably put one at each point where the visors mount, and that should be good to go. Probably don't really even need that much, but uniformity, I guess. So going to gear up some drill bits so I can take that up one more size and get those holes to line up a little bit better with these other ones, and then we'll see about installing them. Okay, so with a little fiddling, I got the first part of the latch on. What I ended up doing is drilling out the hole, and then I had to take a file and kind of oblong the hole just so that they lined up pretty much. And so that's that side. I still got to put that one on, and then I'll do the uppers once I get them both situated. That way I can only have to do it once. All right, so I got the passenger side on. There's the little hook. There's a little hook. Now the trick is figuring out the best place to mount the latch part. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this thing over so that I'm upside down, and I'm going to mark my holes up there somewhere. Of course, I can't do it with one hand. And then I will use the self-tappers, or a small drill bit maybe, to start it, and then I'll put the self-tappers in. I think that's what we're going to end up doing. I think that works pretty good with the visors on nice and tight. Those are the stock bolts for the visors, so that worked. Those plates are kind of thin. So yeah, that's this side. I will go find my black Sharpie so I can mark that. I do want to get up here and knock some of this rust off before I get into that. That way I can paint that all black, so once the bracket's on. So I'm going to clean this rust up, and then I'll hunt down my Sharpie while I'm at it. Okay, so I got the first latch on, self-tapping screws, goes on. I still need to tighten the screw up a little bit, but it's fine. It's a twist, and now it's on there. And it did pull it down quite a bit, so cool. All right, I did clean up those spots. I still have those over there to do. All right, one more bracket to put on, and then we'll move to the other side. Okay, passenger side is done. I went ahead and cleaned that up and just threw some of the rust reformer on there. I'm going to do the whole top in flat black anyway, but got that part done. Now I can move over to the driver's side, clean up those two, get the visor in place, and get those screwed in. Actually, it's not taking as long as I thought it was. Mostly it's just making sure that the clamp is in the right spot. It's a little bit of a trick, but it's working. So yeah, just got to move some things around here on the floor so I can move the stool I'm sitting on over to that side so I can reach. Okay, and just like that, we have 4 tie downs that work. I still need to do something about this side of the roll bar, but other than that, that's come along. It's gotten a little warm, so I'm gonna take a little break and come out and then start putting the dash back together. All right, starting to put the control back in. Had to fish the wire over to this section, got that plugged in, so that's working. I need to go find a little clip that holds that cable in place. That way it don't pop off. I don't think it will, but we'll go get one anyway. And then the only thing I can't remember is what was plugged into this guy. I know it goes here, like this, but I just can't remember where the plugs is. I have one plug here, but it's like there should be another plug. So I guess once I get it up there, I'll figure out where the plug is. Okay. Okay, so I had to go hunting for these 2 screws. They ended up in the parts bucket because I cleaned all that stuff up off the floor, and apparently they were on the floor. All right, so I believe it's these 2 wires, because that's what it kind of looks like. They have the right ends, and so that's that. So the only thing we have left is to plug in this, which is right there. So, and then we can put this harness back up where it belongs, and then we can put the gauge cluster back in. So not too bad. If you take it apart, you should probably do more detail than I did, but then again, I didn't think I was going to be so far out of putting it all back together. All right, so let me get these plugged in and this back up where it belongs. All right, making headway. Gauges are back in. This is back in. I need to plug in the light, so it should work. I do need to zip tie this up at some point, but now I can put the surround on, and then I can go over to the other side and start putting the dash, the speedo and tack back in. I believe the light bulb that I found was for the hazard lights, because that was the only one that didn't have a bulb in it. That would make sense. So hopefully we'll get that back together. Regretfully, I don't have this able to put the battery back in because the starter is still laying here on the ground, which means that there's no power to anything. But we'll at least get it plugged in. I'm going to temporarily put the surround in, but I'm going to have to take it back out when I go to do the lights and fan switch. But that's something else. Well, went to put the Speedo and the tack back in, and we have a little problem. I don't know how good this is going to show up. Let's see here. See the hole here in the white piece? See the hole right there? Those should line up. The problem is, on both sides, the holes drilled in this dash are wider than the Speedo. And then these lower holes, the hole is way high compared to where the hole is here and here. And I don't know what year dash this was that I got, because I had to replace it because mine was rusted. But that appears to be my problem. It does not wish to go back in. So I'm going to have to drill this out somehow so I can get the damn thing to stay. So I guess the easiest choice would be to get some new, like some self-tappers, and just do that up. Because if not, it's not going to line up, and that's a problem. So I guess at this point there's not much I can do. I can plug in the headlight and the dimmer switch and get those wired in. I still have the old dash, so I could always pull this back out, make a template maybe, and drill it, or just do self-tappers. What a pain. Alright, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and put these switches in, and then I'm gonna go look at the other dash real quick and see what's what. Okay, and it looks like my dimmer switch does not seem to want to fit into the hole anymore either. So it should fit in there, and you can see it is too big to fit into this hole. The headlight switch is right. It seems to line up with most of the stuff, I guess. No, maybe not. Shit, I don't even know. Alright, I'm gonna have to pull the Speedo back out so I can see, but I don't think anything's lining up. So I might need to get new switches, which would be fine because this is ugly. But yeah, this is definitely not lining up. Okay, so I was wrong. It's the right panel. I just am putting things together wrong. So the dimmer switch actually goes on the back side of the panel, and that's why it's got these weird brackets. That way you can screw through the two holes. That makes more sense, because once I got the headlight switch in place, I realized this wasn't lining up to anything, and that bracket was in the way, and then I kind of was fucking with it, and I realized that it goes on the back like that. So again, you have to go back and watch your old videos or pay attention to somebody else's, because sometimes you just put shit together wrong. And I believe, but there is a hole missing. This upper hole for this guy is definitely in the wrong spot, because there's no hole here where that goes. So definitely a hole missing there, but it lines up across the bottom, so we'll be okay. I just have to figure out what I'm going to do to get the bezel to line up, or the gauge cluster to line up, because those holes are definitely off. What the hell? I think I might be lucky. I'm hoping. But I'm hoping that this hole lines up with the bottom of the Speedo. And if that's the case, then I can drill through here and get my things to line up. And I can do the same thing on this side with this one. I'm hoping. I'm gonna put the speedo up here real quick just to see if that's right. Now this is the part I'm gonna be replacing with the 3 switch. I'm just gonna put it in here temporarily so that I can use it to hopefully make a new guide hole. And then I could at least get the bottom of the speedo in, maybe? All right, we'll see. Well, it looks like we're in business. It looks like that is going to line up. So then I'll be able to drill that out without the gauge in the way. And then I'll be able, once I get the 2 bottoms in, I'll be able to put the self-tappers in the top and screw that down, and we'll be pretty golden. Okay, well, that's at least one thing. But it's getting late, so I think we're going to call this video a day. And I'll come out tomorrow and I'll get that set up and get that drilled, and then we'll get the covering on, and it should be good. We still have 1, 2, about 4 screws in that bag and 2 or 3 in this, so we should have enough to finish all of this, I think. And I still have a couple screws here in the ashtray, so looks like I have enough screws finally, but it doesn't look too bad coming together. Of course, the sun is going to be in the way. I wish I could get new decal stickers for this and this. Maybe I'll look online and see if you can buy those, because these are kind of crusty and faded. I'm probably going to buy a new switch because this one's crusty and faded anyway, but all right, well, at least we're moving in the right direction. Thanks for watching. Okay, looking at this one. I think this is different right here. It might be the same. I'm gonna pull the gauges back out and look. I'll compare the 2. Yeah, there's just no holes right there. So that's what the difference is. The holes just don't line up on this one for the center. I don't know why. Maybe there might be a newer dash possible, or an older dash. That could be too. You never know, right? They just said it would fit this year, so all right, we'll get this drilled out today and done.